You're Just Imagining It is a deceptively simple game. On the surface, it's about someone searching for a doctor who will finally take him seriously, someone who can put a name to his mysterious, worsening illness. But beneath the pastel visuals and the simple soundtrack lies something far darker. This is a game about the creeping dread of realizing that something is terribly wrong with you, and no one believes it. In this video, I want to explore the psychological horror that hides beneath the game's charming aesthetic. The anxiety, the self-doubt, and the quiet terror of existing in a body that feels like it's betraying you. There will be spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. And if you like what you see, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. So, sit back, get cozy, and join me as we explore You're Just Imagining It's psychological horror at midnight. As a reminder, I am not a psychologist or qualified to diagnose mental health conditions. The setup for You're Just Imagining It couldn't be more straightforward. This is a chronic illness simulation game. You think you have a chronic illness, but you don't know what. All you know is that you are always in some state of pain. You've been to too many doctors to count, but you still have to live your life. The core mechanics are simple. You juggle money, energy, and pain. Sleeping restores you, but only a little. Working pays the bills, but it drains everything else. Going to the doctor brings you one step closer to a diagnosis, but comes at a hefty cost. Enjoyment helps keep you afloat, but it also costs money you don't really have. You can also check your meds and the menu. Week by week, appointment by appointment, you inch closer to someone who might finally take you seriously, assuming you can afford the visit, and assuming your body doesn't collapse before you get there. Eventually, a year passes, your symptoms intensify, and you're thrown back into the cycle with fewer resources and more pain. The game ends the moment a doctor finally says the words you've been so desperate to hear. You're not imagining it, and then the game closes, leaving you alone with the number of years it took to reach that moment. The developer created this game after struggling to get diagnosed with a genetic disorder, and if you scroll through the comments on itch.io or Steam, you'll see hundreds of players echoing the same thing. Because the truth is, you're not imagining it. What the protagonist goes through has a name: symptom invalidation. Symptom invalidation happens when healthcare professionals, intentionally or not, communicate to a patient that their lived experience is wrong. And this can take several forms. One is dismissal, where a clinician may insist your symptoms are exaggerated, psychological, fabricated, or just stress. Sometimes patients are labeled lazy, dramatic, or unmotivated. Anything except sick. Another is poor communication. This includes everything from interrupting, stereotyping, ignoring emotional cues, or using manipulative language to steer a patient away from tests or referrals. And lastly is inappropriate management. This is when a clinician prescribes treatment that doesn't match the condition, refuses testing, discourages disability claims, or tells you your illness will resolve on its own. I'm sure there are more, but what does this all do to a person? A major review of research on this topic found 4 broad categories of consequences. The first is emotional and cognitive effects. Patients may start doubting themselves, developing low self-worth, or depressive symptoms. Second is healthcare-related trauma. This is where they may lose trust in medical systems, feel anxious about seeking care, or become emotionally burnt out. Third is behavioral responses. So this is where some people begin avoiding doctors entirely, or downplaying symptoms to avoid further invalidation. Lastly is diagnostic delay, which is the most devastating outcome. Months or years without appropriate care, often leading to worsening quality of life. Which leads to the next question: why do healthcare professionals do this? It would be easy to say some doctors are just bad, but the reality, like most horror, is more complicated. Firstly, there's diagnostic uncertainty. Some illnesses don't fit textbook descriptions. When symptoms are hard to quantify or don't align with expected markers, clinicians can become anxious, frustrated, or skeptical, the latter of which is projected onto the patient. Second is bias. Implicit biases shape clinical judgment. Women's pain, often minimized. Black and Hispanic patients often receive fewer referrals. Black patients are wrongly assumed to have higher pain tolerance, and people with strong emotions are labeled oversensitive, dramatic, or attention-seeking. This is definitely not most cases or the majority, but this is just what statistics show, and I can include those in the description. Third is systemic and educational constraints. Overbooked schedules, rushed appointments, limited training, insurance pressure, and rigid guidelines. These can all push clinicians towards shortcuts and self-protective skepticism. None of this excuses the harm, but it does explain the environment patients find themselves fighting against. So how do you advocate for yourself? Before anything else, I'm not a medical professional. I'm drawing from very limited research and patient advocacy resources, which are all linked in the description. But also, this advice is meant specifically for people who need conventional medical care for diagnosis or treatment. I mean, don't get me wrong, alternative treatments work for some people, and I'm not here to dismiss that. But some conditions require formal diagnosis, medication, or targeted clinical care. So if you're stuck in this system, how do you navigate it? Well, before your first or next appointment, you can journal your symptoms. Make sure to record when symptoms happen, how long they last, the severity, including specifics, not generalities, like it's sharp or it's throbbing. Also triggers and patterns, and anything that helps or worsens them. Make sure to also bring a list of medications, supplements, and dosages. Your past medical history, such as any conditions, surgeries, allergies, or family history, and a prioritized question list. Now for this last one, some doctors may have a limited time with you depending on the clinic, and so making sure you have your question list that's prioritized so that you can get your most important questions answered can help you at least a little bit, even if you don't get all of your questions answered. Now during the appointment, remember to recognize that there's going to be some potential possible bias. This is not to excuse it, but just to identify it in case it comes up. You can bring a trusted advocate if possible to help describe your pain or provide further context. You can ask clarifying questions and summarize your understanding when the doctor speaks to you. You can voice your concerns clearly, such as saying, "I'm worried about these side effects," or "these symptoms interfere with my daily functioning." You can inform yourself of your patient rights, such as consent, records, refusal of treatment, and confidentiality. Request copies of tests, notes, and reports, and take notes during the visit. Now, after the appointment, you can follow up politely but firmly, especially if you haven't received results or referrals or you're waiting on them. And if it becomes clear you aren't being heard, you can switch providers. And make sure to keep your symptom journal updated so the transition is smooth and you have all of your records in place. Aside from all that, here's the part the game captures so painfully well. While you're fighting to get diagnosed, the rest of life doesn't stop. You still have to work, rest, maintain relationships, take care of yourself, and somehow hold on to joy, all while navigating a system that drains your time, money, and hope. That's why support systems matter. Family, friends, online communities, support groups, they are what make the journey survivable. And if you're supporting someone through this, simply being willing to listen makes a world of difference. I wish I could say that doing these things guarantees a diagnosis, but it doesn't. Sometimes finally getting a name for what's wrong is only the beginning of another long road. But what I can say is this: you matter. Your pain is real, and you deserve to be heard. If this video helps even a little, helps you understand yourself, or helps you support someone else, then it's worth it. And remember, you're not just imagining it. I've been fortunate enough not to face medical invalidation myself, but people I love have, and I've seen how deeply it can wound someone when a professional meant to help them instead makes them feel invisible. At the same time, I'm married to someone who is a healthcare professional, so I've come to understand a little bit just how complicated and broken the system can be from both sides. And while it's heartbreaking that the developer went through experiences severe enough to inspire this game, I'm grateful it exists. It gives us a way to talk about something that usually stays silent. If you're interested in learning more or would like to explore the research I gathered for this video, you can check out the resources I linked in the description. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next game.